Okay, everybody, welcome to the Heal the Industry podcast. I am Ashley Vance, and I am so stoked because I have a guest on here that we have been talking about doing this for a while. But I honestly think that the timing couldn't be more perfect. Sometimes, like when you're like hit with roadblocks, you're like, why? And then here we are, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm so excited to talk about this topic today with my dear friend Abigail Lacey, who
Hello.
she owns a salon in West Lynn, Oregon called Elle Society. And she is just such a prime example of leadership in her salon space and with her teams. And so I'm really stoked to be talking to her today and her sharing her insight and discoveries on those things. So Abigail, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Finally, me and Ashley have been talking about this for so long, but like just the salons and our kids and everything. So I'm so excited to finally be here, sitting down doing this. But yeah, my name is Abigail Lacey. I'm a salon owner in West Lynn, Oregon. I am we specialize in color and extensions, and we definitely have like a niche luxury high-end feel, but we try to incorporate some that laid back luxury vibe into everything that we do. I have a team of 7 just incredible girls and women, and I'm just very happy in my role as an owner and as a leader, but that role has evolved immensely over the past 4 years of salon ownership. So I'm excited to be here and kind of talk about that today.
Yeah, it's like a forever like evolving thing in leadership, right?
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, what originally inspired you to step into leadership and creating Elle Society, and what kind of culture do you feel you were called to build?
So I love this question because I'm just I'm a very blunt person. I'm gonna go straight to the point. And I was one of those hairstylists who almost 5 years ago opened a salon for all the wrong reasons. And I'll be the first to say that, admit that. And especially like being an owner now and meeting so many other owners at, all of the education and all the masterminds that I've attended. There's a lot of other people just like me, and I think it's important to admit that and to learn how to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by I opened the salon for the wrong reasons was I was a independent hairstylist who just loved her craft, loved a pretty salon. I love decorating and buying furniture and interior design, and I love Instagram and Pinterest. And my why at the time was, I wanted to continue to work for myself. I wanted to create my own beautiful space, and I wanted other stylists like me to work alongside me. Mm-hmm. And that was it. That was my why. Mm-hmm. And then how it has evolved over the years, you quickly learn if that's the path you go, if that's your why, that only lasts for so long. Mm-hmm. When the startup phase is over, when the decorating is over, when you realize, oh my gosh, I have a very large overhead. Mm-hmm. I am behind the chair so much, I don't know how to do the owner stuff because I'm a stylist. I don't know how to do this. And I can't bring on someone to do it. So how it has evolved, we'll dive into it later, but I'll just say today, as a leader, my goal is to be an owner and a leader more than I am a stylist. Being a stylist is where I connect with my team, and it's so that way I can have a creative outlet. But my role as a leader is simply that. It is to create an incredible experience for all the women that step into our salon, whether they are a guest or if they are on our team, and to help stylists really see and experience just how far they can go in this industry and how much impact they truly can have as a hairstylist.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love that you shared that truth because honestly, same. I was like, you know what? I could just open a space and make it look cool, and we can just add people to the team, and it'll be all fun times and groovy tunes. And it's like, like not very many people like talk about like that is such a short fuse that like burns out so quickly because you recognize like, man, that's like my name on the building. I care about client experience. I care about like these stylists that choose to work alongside me. And that's truly like when I feel like I witnessed for you and for me, like we broke out of that shell and we were like, you know what? I'm just ready to lead. I'm ready to help these girls that desire what it is I have built, right? And in their own businesses and being able to mentor them. And so I love seeing that. And you're just such a perfect example of like stepping into that leadership role and how it can impact those who choose to work alongside you, which brings me into like my next question is, when you begin building your teams, what do you learn early on about choosing the right people for the culture you envisioned?
Well, honestly, I think that there's 3 paths to salon ownership. I think 2 of those are very easy and one is very, very hard. And that's the one that I always aim for. And I think that a lot of us want to aim for. And I think that the first path is the building a team just, because you just want to be everybody's friend. And that's where I was when I started. Like I just, everyone was independent and I just, come in, and we were friends and it was just fun. I think that type of leadership and building a team is easy. I think that's why so many people do it, but I also think it's going to be the most detrimental to your overall mental health and your business health. While it's easy, you're sacrificing the most in that path. And then I think the other one that's easy is, and it doesn't sound easy, but I do think it is, if you go with the mindset of just like in and out, let's go, everybody's a number, stylist, big rotating door, clients in and out, low experience, high service ticket. I think if you start your business that way, I think it's easy because you don't know any different. And I think you can just bring them in. Sure, you're on, you got experience, I don't care, bring them in. But again, you're exhausted because you have to maintain that and you're going to have high turnover. So when it comes to building a team, for me, I strive for the place in the middle of those 2 roles. And that's running my business like a business, remembering at the end of the day, I am the leader. I am in charge here. But I care about these stylists because I've been them. I've been in their shoes. I know their goals. I know they're just getting married. They're wanting to have kids. They're buying their first home. And I want to be the leader that chooses team members who have the vision, have the drive, have goals, like long-term goals, and that understand that I am here to give you all the resources and the tools to get where you want to go. But they have to have that mindset of being willing to get there, taking these tools and doing the most of it. I think that that's the hardest path, but it's also the most rewarding. And that's what I always strive to be, is how can I build a team and be the kind of leader that treats my business like a business, but can still care for and nurture these girls without crossing those boundaries.
Totally. It's like a balancing act, it's like you want to be there and you want to help them, but at the same time, it's like it's almost kind of, I know I hate comparing it to parenting, but it kind of is, you want to be respected, but at the same time, like you want to be approachable, right? Yeah. You want to be able to help them. And so it is important balancing all of that out. And that's why, like, whenever going into like conversations and communications, like with the team, it's so important to be like, my intentions are right. Cause it's easy to get intentions like misconstrued and people fall into like their stories or maybe past experiences. Right. And, for me and like what I've witnessed that you are also so wonderful at is like communication and being clear with those who work alongside you. And so like what communication habits or rhythms have helped you keep that culture healthy with your team as you are growing?
I would say the biggest thing is if there needs to be a conversation, it's getting to it as quickly as you can. Like if something happens, if you need to talk to somebody about, hey, I noticed this happen, like, can we talk about this? It needs to happen within like 48 hours, like
Yes.
right away. Because
Yeah.
what I found is if you wait, or if you let it just, oh, I'll wait till next time. If it happens again, we'll talk about it. Then there's this animosity that builds. And then by the time you go to have that hard conversation, they feel a little attacked. Like you've been harboring all these weapons against them and you're throwing them at once. You know what I mean? And I think it's important too, when you're communicating, to remember what it's like to be on the other receiving end of that.
Mhm.
And I love being a student. I love being like on the other end of things when I can, because it's always
Yeah.
such a, ooh, oh, how does this feel? Okay. Because it's just a good reminder, like communication is so important, because you
Mhm.
can calm and diffuse the situation so quickly.
Yes.
I think culture too, a big thing, and this is something honestly this year, like I've really, really poured a lot into, is we work in, as a group of women.
Mhm.
We know how that can go. We get very close. Whether your coworkers, you want to try to be like that, like our stylists, they're gonna get close. They're gonna become friends, and they should. Like that's a happy, healthy salon environment, good relationships. But with that, it's common, just like with your sisters. You have a bicker, a misunderstanding. She's not cleaning up, like whatever. And I have found as a leader, and it's not overstepping, which is surprising. I think in the past, I would have thought that if I got myself involved in like little salon things, that I'd
Mhm.
be overstepping.
Mhm.
But I've actually found that as a leader, if you notice it, if you can at least talk to them and be like, hey, do you guys want to sit down and like talk about this?
Yeah.
They're so receptive to that, because they want to feel like supported and know that like I care, that they also have healthy relationships like within the team, not just with me.
Right.
And that's been huge. Like if anything that happens, like the girls know, like I'm always here. I don't care who it's about. I don't care what it is. But if it's something that you're not comfortable taking directly to them, like bring it to me, and not in a telling on way, but
Yes.
in a like, can you help me sit down and have this conversation with her, because I just really want to get this off my chest. Like I heard something and I didn't like the way it made me feel.
Right.
And yeah, that's like a new part of my role that I didn't do several years ago at all. And it's been huge, because I feel like if you can make that the normal
Mhm.
within your culture, then it actually brings everybody closer together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you're like willing to help like facilitate those conversations, because it is same as like what you said before. If you like stack these things and you don't approach it early on, same things happen amongst like your team. Like if you see that they're carrying something and then it's something that is going to stack, like you don't want to have that like amongst like a team. It's always best to like communicate it and get ahead of it. I always say, like, man, communication should be one of the love languages, like, because it would totally be mine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I need to talk this through.
I'm like, just talk about it, and also like, I love in leadership too, being like, if there's a problem that needs a solution brought to it, like I'm happy to help, but definitely like when coming into the conversation, like have some thoughts of like suggestions to help get to a solution, right? Not just like coming to say like, oh, well, so and so, like this ain't working. And so here you go, like figure it out. It's like, well, okay. But like, what are your thoughts behind that? What would you like to see more? Like, what do you think would be a good solution? And have them be a part of that like conversation, right? Because it's a team. Yes, as a leader, it's important to lead, but as a team, coming to solutions with problems like makes them feel like they're a part of what it is that you're building too, right? Uh,
Mhm.
and that's the thing that I like just get so geeked out over communication. It's
Yeah.
like
Well, it's just
it,
like you said, like being a mom,
yeah,
like if you're, I'm thinking of my 5-year-old. I'm not comparing my girls to 5-year-olds, but I'm saying this helps with me too. Even, I mean, I'm 31 years old and I still like want my husband to do this to me. Like,
yeah,
I don't want a solution right now when I'm
yeah,
complaining to him. Like,
yeah,
I just want you to let me complain. Like, I'll let you know when I want a solution. Don't tell me how to fix my problem. Just let me get it out. And sometimes, like, everybody needs that. It doesn't matter what age you are, to different levels, right? But even like with my daughter, it's like, so if she's frustrated, if I, instead of trying to be like, well, oh, here, use this one then and just solve the problem, it
right,
it works better for her to let her talk it through and like get her to calm down. And then by the time we talk it through, she's not like fired up anymore. And like, this is what I need too. Like, don't give me the solution. Don't tell me what to do because I'm so mad. But you know, it's those asking the right questions and being like, okay, so what happened? Let them tell you what happened. Okay, so, you know, why do you think she said that? Like, is there anything else that you think could have been? And just let them start like talking it out. And when I sit in these conversations, or when I ever have to have a conversation like this, I'm doing the least talking.
Yep.
And I think that's huge because, and I can chat, I can talk. Everybody knows this, but I have to muzzle myself and like, no, this is time for them to talk. I'm just here like to guide.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge as well, especially as a leadership that is a learned skill to know when to give advice and when to just kind of let them just guide them to what they already know.
Totally. It's like, my husband and I would say all the time, like, we want to raise our kids to be critical thinkers, right? And not just like, yes, no. Like, so it's almost like teaching as well, like in leadership, like with your salon team, is to, if you can train your team to be critical thinkers themselves, like, and problem solvers and solution makers, you're ultimately like setting yourself up to have a team that like is able to get ahead of anything before even coming to you, even though you are there to be able to help, but like giving them the tools to be successful on their own is true leadership, is like leading them to be the best versions of themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. So with that topic of leadership, what does leadership look like for both you behind the scenes on a daily basis and not just like highlight real? Like, what does real work look like for you as a leader in your space?
You know, I have gotten a lot better over the years at knowing what to delegate. And this is something I know me and you talk about all the time, is what is something like, do my hands need to be on this right now? Or could somebody else do this so I can focus on this?
Right.
So my role as a leader has evolved. I mean, every year it's ever changing. And honestly, this next year, it's going to be changing again. And it's because you start to figure out, like, I have to figure out how this works, get this like locked in, and then I can nicely like pass this to the next person. And while I was scared to do this for a long time, one, because of my business model, because when I first started, it was a booth renter. So that was okay. But typically with independent artists, like they want to do their own thing and leave. Sometimes some actually want more. They just don't know how to ask for it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of owners have a fear of asking too much and then being perceived as like, she's not paying me for that. Why is she asking me to do that? That's what I always dealt with. But in my situation, we are employee based, and what I find is actually a lot of my girls want to be involved. They want to help plan the events. They want to help with social media. They want to help with inventory. Like, shockingly, they enjoy it. They're like, no, I want to do this. I want to make sure we have every single color because they know that I'm only one person.
Right.
And then there's benefits for them. Like, I've been able to offer one of my girls full time and, health and dental and all these benefits, because now, like, I know she needs at least a 30-hour work week. And if she doesn't have clients, I can fill that time.
Yeah.
So my role as a leader is largely delegating these days to make sure that all these systems and processes that I put in place are being maintained, and that everyone is doing it, has, they have their benefit in it, they enjoy it. And so I can focus on big picture and growth.
Right.
My week, I would say my favorite day, I think a lot of us, are Mondays. I love a good Monday flow. I don't see clients on Mondays at all anymore. It throws off my week because that's not what my Mondays are for. A Monday for me is, I get up nowadays because of my son wakes up at 6. So I have to get up at 4:30.
Yep.
And I do, because if I don't, I'm so mad because I can't get my things done. So Monday is 4:30 a.m. on the treadmill with my laptop desk. I know you know about this. Ashley is also a working out laptop girl.
Totally.
She's got her bike. I've got my little walkie pad now. And I immediately 4:30 a.m. open up. I start doing reports and payroll. and I do payroll every single Monday. I go through every single sale. I open up our communications app. If I have to put any questions in there, it's all through the app. I don't text my girls at weird hours. It is all through the base camp, so they can check it within their window. They know you'll probably wake up with a message from me, but it's not it won't alert them. They check it when they can.
Yeah.
And then I go straight into, after I finish my workout and I did all my numbers done, my payroll, I pull up my weekly checklist, and me and my manager are both on that. It's a Google sheet, and I go through and I update the 5 things I need to get done this week. I look at hers. I put 5 things I need her to get done this week if it's not already on like a repeating list. And then I close it up, go downstairs, make a coffee, and I read for at least 30 minutes to an hour, something not related to work in the slightest bit. That has been such an amazing shift for me as an owner with a million things going on and kids. So that when my kids wake up at 6, I'm like wide awake and I've checked off all these little aspects of myself and my business, and then I can get ready.
Right.
And then I come into the salon and we do manager meeting at 8:30, team meeting at 9. And then I finish all my office work. At this point, it's taken a long time, but I can get most of my owner big tasks out of the way on Mondays.
Yeah.
And that's such an amazing feeling, because I know you probably felt this way. At one point, it felt like, oh my God, there's so many things I have to do all the time. But I'm like, I can get most of it done on Mondays now, which is fantastic. So then I have, I'm in the salon 3 days a week. The other 2 days, I do half an admin day, which I focus on social media. I take content, I draft content, and then I will sometimes take one guest.
Yeah.
And then I take Friday. That is my day as an artist. That is my day behind the chair. I'm not an owner that day. If you have a question, ask my manager. I am a stylist that day.
Yeah.
And then it's a repeat. And like, that's what my week looks like now as an owner, which 4 years ago, that was not the case.
Right. Yeah. And I love that you brought that up too, because like, what a shift and a total like difference, right? Like that is true leadership. You have time to work on your business and you're not like fully working in it. But then the time is like when you are working in it, like it's manageable. It's fun. It's not feeling like there's a million things coming at you. So like one of the questions I wanted to ask you was like, was there like a season of radical ownership that your business had to take a shift in leadership? And I feel like this is like a great topic, like on what did it look like for you before, since you've already set up what you look like now. I feel like a lot of our listeners, owners might feel like that feels so far from like where they currently are. What did it look like for you before to show them like, hey, like this is possible. You can do this. Like, what did it look like for you?
Yeah. Let me see. I'll start back from just before I opened my salon. I had just had my daughter. So I was an independent stylist. I was working probably just 2 or 3 days behind the chair because she was so little. And then I got, the itch. I always knew I wanted a salon, but again, why at the time it hasn't formed. I just knew that was something I wanted in the future. And then it was one of those golden opportunities. I was like, oh, this place is available and it's a turnkey salon and I can afford it. And the rent is so low. I'll actually save money. No, you won't. No, you won't. Run away. The rent is the lowest. The rent is your easiest bill because it's the same every month. But so anyways, when I became an owner, I realized, oh shoot, I gotta work more. So that's when my daughter had to start daycare, and that was hard. I always said I wouldn't do daycare, but I figured out real quick that I couldn't be a stylist, a stylist full-time, an owner full-time, and a full-time mom 5 days a week. Like there was just and I couldn't squeeze everything in on Saturday, Sunday, and then never see my husband.
Right.
Because he's home with our kids. So we were like, okay, well, we'll do daycare 2 days a week, and then my mom will watch her 2 days a week. So it's 4 days a week now. My daughter is somewhere.
Right.
And then I'm a stylist 4 days a week because I needed to pay the bills in the salon. So I'll just rent all my chairs because it's easy. It's easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, no.
Renting is not easy, but we think it is because it's like a guaranteed income. It'll pay all my bills. And then that way when I work, we'll just, pay myself. these are the thoughts, the things you tell ourselves, and you realize like, oh my gosh, it wasn't
Yeah,
easy because
like the first red flag would be like, if the thought enters your mind, it'll be easy, just immediately no.
yeah, no, it won't. The path you're choosing is actually harder. You just haven't figured that out yet. If you're choosing it because it's easy, always.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was like, I'll just fill some chairs and then I'll pay the base rent, and then I'll be full time by the chair, and my daughter will be in daycare, and then the money my renters bring in will pay for the rent, and then my money was how I'll pay myself.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, you learn quickly that the expenses are not ever just the base rent, especially when you want to have like a more luxury feel. I didn't want everyone using their own product lines and having random things everywhere. I didn't want pink and purple capes and smocks because I'm a neutral gal. If you're listening, if you could see behind me, my salon is like 3 shades of beige and black and white. So these are those little things. So I was like, well, I want to provide all the robes, and I want to provide all the tools, or, the stuff that everyone's using at the bowls and all the products and the retail. I want to provide, I know. And of course I want to obey because that's top of the line and there's nobody in town that has it. And so slowly realize this is actually very expensive. And then my rent was, probably just some random number I picked because of what my last place charged. Had nothing to do with my overhead. It was just, well, she charged that much and this isn't in that area, so I'll just go like a little bit less. Perfect. So, you learn. And so this is where I was 4 years ago. And it took 1 year. 1 year of just like grinding to realize this is not sustainable and we want to have another baby soon. And like literally, how am I going to go on maternity leave now when I have all this? And that's like kind of a terrifying thought, especially like, one of my renters could leave, like my contracts aren't that awesome. And, I kind of just put it together last minute. Like this was pre-ChatGPT even. I didn't even have that to rely on. Like, I mean, I didn't even know what was in that thing. So probably just my last salons. I just copy pasted, changed the name. Like, let's be honest, this is what we do because we think it's going to be easy. Yeah. So then it took until we were about to have my son, for me to kind of have a bit of a wake up call. I remember the day I was training. I had 2 assistants. I was just training them like crazy. But they weren't, like assistants I would call today. They were like, just come in and I'll teach you and you can just use a chair. Like, so it was unreliable, like calling out. I was overbooked because I didn't know if I'd have help or not. Just the worst you can imagine. And I remember just being there, slaving away. I remember I was pregnant, just like 6 weeks, very early, very excited. I'm hustling, we're training, I'm moving and grooving on my client, probably didn't eat lunch, very high stress day. And I remember I don't, could have been for any reason, but I remember that day I went home and I miscarried and it was horrible. And it was such a wake up call because I was just sitting there in my bathroom in just complete shock because I had such an easy pregnancy with my daughter. I just didn't think that would happen to me. I know it's so like silly, but my mom never had one. I had never, I got pregnant with my daughter quickly. It was fine. And I just remember feeling like guilty, which obviously I have no control over, but I felt guilty because mentally and physically I was not taking care of myself. I was putting up with a lot of, salon drama between the renters, apprentices not doing the things that they were supposed to be doing and taking on that stress like mentally and physically and plus my clients. And that was like a huge literal wake-up call. And from that day on, I just decided, you know what, like I'm making changes.
Yep.
On top of that, I had a couple stylists that wanted to learn more from me. That wanted to train with me, like in a commission role, but I didn't have the time.
Right.
How am I supposed to train them? How am I supposed to put all these systems in place? I have no time.
Right.
So instantly started adding some commission girls, cut my schedule back, took an income hit for myself.
Yeah.
But very quickly did that shift once I started leaning into leading and owning and having stylists that I could mentor.
Yeah.
Because when they were making more money, when they were succeeding, obviously, it goes both ways. I'm
Right.
helping them, they're helping me. Now that I don't have to be behind the chair so much, I can help you hit your goals. Two of those girls ended up opening a salon. You know what I mean? So it is a big change.
Right.
It's a scary change to let go of being the stylist.
Right.
But you have to remember that being a stylist and being an owner are two full-time jobs, and you have to change a title. Are you an owner or are you a stylist? Because if you're equal parts both, I feel like that's when we see the most like mental and physical impact. Negative.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that. Like, because it's not often like people will talk about like what that can physically like do, when you're bearing all the weights and you're like, you're blessed with having this massive capacity, but that doesn't mean that you use it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that you blow yourself out from like trying to wear all of the hats all at once. And not very many people will talk about that. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I know that there's somebody who's out there listening who felt moved by that. And so I pray for them that they see like it doesn't have to be that way. Like
No.
it doesn't have to stay that way. It's just you making a decision to change. And there's always going to be like when you make that shift, like what Abigail was saying, like there's going to be a little season of setback, but it's like a bow and arrow, right? You like pull back to take off. Yeah. And ever since like I've seen you make that shift, like you've just taken off. And so are there like bumps along the way? Absolutely. Like that's anything in life, right? But then when you look at it through that like leadership lens is when you can like be like, okay, we're going to shift course. Like, oh, this isn't working. We're going to adjust it and we're going to make this work, right? Like being open to that is like huge. And so I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes. Yeah. And I just want to say too, like in that story, like saying, I was taking on, there was drama going on. The apprentices weren't doing what I needed them to do. And I was under stress. That's because of me.
Right.
Like I'm not blaming the apprentices or
No.
assistants. I'm not blaming the girls who create drama.
Yeah.
I allowed that.
Yep.
And that is the biggest mental shift that I've ever had as an owner is it's not their fault that they're not doing the posting and coming in on time.
No.
It's my fault because of the structure that I've put in place, the behaviors that I've allowed, and just the lack of boundaries I had. Like that's truly what it is. It is not their fault and I don't blame them. To this day, I started with a very low boundary. Right. And I had to learn why they're so important.
Right. Exactly. No, I love that so much. Like, which it's like, it's perfect because I literally was going to talk to you about like what old narrative and cultural norms in the beauty industry do you feel need to finally break in order to heal the industry?
I think, I'm hopeful, I've seen it online more that it's changing, but that like this division between rental and commission's bad and your owner is just taking all your money and I can't live off of 40% or whatever the number is.
Right.
I think that's changing and I hope it does because that's going to heal us big time because neither path is wrong.
No.
Let's just make it. And sometimes one path might make you more money than the other, but it's up to you and your business and your mindset and how much you want to work. Right. And I have nothing against like rental. And even in that story, again, if I had better boundaries and I had better structure and systems, I've seen great booth rental salons and I know they exist. I've seen great hybrid salons. Right. I have also seen commission salons where the owners are like in and out, triple booking them, working them to the bone, not appreciating them, not giving them like any grace. Right. I've seen the bads of both. Yes. I think in order for us to just move forward as an industry and like stop being so competitive and especially as salon owners is to understand that neither model is wrong. Right. It just depends on, to be honest, the owner of that business's goals for that business. Right. I said as a renter who never worked commission, I never did. My mom did nails. My sister did hair for a little bit. My mom had a little tiny home salon. I went to beauty school, immediately just started working with my mom. My
Yeah.
rent was probably like, she charged me like $300, and I was so upset that she charged me rent. I was like, Mom, how could you do this to me? She was like, what are you talking about? You have to pay rent. And I was like, but I'm your child. I'm your 20-year-old child. How could you charge me rent?
You're baby.
Terrible. But like, I had a very jaded experience. Like most people can't be independent because they can't afford their chair.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Yes, there was some give and take. I was in a private residential community. Like I had to work really hard online to get people to come to me and believe I was luxury when
Yeah.
sometimes it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But as someone who was a rental, I never wanted to be commission,
Right.
which is very, because I had this mindset of, I follow these stylists on Instagram. I see that these 20-year-olds can be these like, 6-figure stylists and work for themselves. And I like making my own schedule. I never want to do this. And I thought being commission meant no control of your schedule. You make only a fraction of what you actually do. You have to sit there and wait for walk-ins. You have to do
Right.
like any service under the sun, which means like men's cuts and things like, don't give me clippers. I can't do that. I don't even cut my husband's hair. So
Totally.
I had this story, this nightmare that was commission. And I think a lot of people have that same story. And yes, that can be true. Like there
Right.
are places, but there are places that are not like that.
Right.
And I know my salon and I know your salons are those places.
Right.
They exist. And I hope that more owners, especially all these salon owners who listen to Heal the Industry, like will create more places like what we're offering, which is my girls get to pick their days they want to work. I
Right.
jump in. Are you not getting any clients at all? Well, maybe we can't just work Mondays and Tuesdays. Maybe we need to put in a Saturday and build some clients. Like that's my role. But my role is not to be like, you must work this and you must work that. And you have to sit here and wait for appointments.
Right.
I believe that I'm giving you the resources, the tool, the space, everything you need, but you got to make the client click your name on the schedule. I can't do that for you.
Right.
But I'm here to give you all the strategies to make sure that they do that.
Right.
But that, I think that's huge, is just creating a shift, because when I started adding commission, I know that I had a lot of backlash because there was no one in my community that did commission. And in that like small town, it was like, there's this mindset of like, oh, she's this money hungry owner kind of thing.
Totally.
Which is crazy, because once you actually start doing the numbers, looking at what I made, I have girls working commission that are making more than I made as a renter who thought she was bringing in 6 figures.
Right.
Like who worked 3 days a week. Like I thought I was killing it. And then you actually look at your numbers after taxes, after expenses, after materials. And after that, in Oregon, it's an additional 15% self-employed tax on top of everything, your other bracket. I was already giving up 50-something%
Right.
just to work.
Well, and a whole laundry list of responsibility outside of the hair that you were doing.
Absolutely. Oh, that's not to mention just the talking with clients, booking them, the booking systems, the actually just like having to deal with my accountant and all the books. I mean, just it never ends. And I'm just taking extra business education and coaching to understand how to do this and how to sustain this and how to save for retirement. And I didn't even know how to do that. I didn't know how to save for retirement as an independent. Like they didn't teach us that in school. And my husband at the time, like he didn't even have that either. Right. So I think if we can all just accept that there's no wrong path, it just depends on what do you want your role to be.
Totally. Absolutely.
And that you can still make amazing money, sometimes better as a commission stylist, and have a lot less stress.
Absolutely.
Or I guess I shouldn't say stress. If you enjoy it, let's just call it responsibilities.
Totally. Responsibilities.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree. It's just, there's no wrong way. It's just, how did God build you? Like, and what feels in alignment for you? And then us as owners creating, like, in whichever model it is, that like an environment for whatever type of stylist that seeks to work alongside you and in your space, like a place where everything is clear and you're leading from a place of like structure and organization, and people just can sleep good at night just knowing and not living in this land of like wondering. And so I definitely see that shift 100%. I pray for it like all of the time, for stylists and for owners as well. So I love that so much. So in closing, I just would love to ask you one last question. If every stylist listening could hear one truth about leadership, growth, or integrity, what would change their career trajectory, and what would you want to like speak to them?
I want to say, just speaking as, let me start with mindset as an owner, someone who wants to be an owner.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding and just accepting that your goals are going to change
Mm-hmm.
often. Let's just say, for easy math, every year, but maybe even soon, because it's very much trial and error. There is no handbook. There's a million coaching programs out there, sure, but not every model is going to work perfectly for every single salon, every single owner, every single team, every single city. It's just going to be different. Right. Learn as much as you can, and don't be scared to make changes. Mm-hmm. I have learned never to say never, because I once said I'd never have a commission salon. A year later, I had a commission salon. Just take never out of your vocabulary, because you don't know. And if you see another owner or another stylist doing something that you're like, oh, I'd never do that, you might. So just try to have an open mind. Yeah. And know that with change, not everyone is going to be receptive. Mm-hmm. Not everyone is down for change. People signed up to join your team, join your salon for different reasons at that time, based on what you were offering at that time. And if your path is changing, their path might also change, and that's okay. Yeah. That's fine. Mm-hmm. And just know what's going to happen, and just wish them the best. Yeah. And just try to be graceful with that, and know that I'm making these changes because I need to make these changes. And if that doesn't work with everybody, like, that's okay. And I know that your path is different than mine, and I wish you the best. Yep. Like, that mindset right there from the start is going to take so much stress and pressure off your plate, because I have seen so many owners crumble under the backlash of their changes, and just take it personally, and just let it wreck them. They're scared to now make changes because maybe they had a walkout, maybe somebody left, maybe someone posted something nasty online about you and villainized you. Like, I see it all the time. I mean, I've experienced that myself. Yeah. And I know that, what they're experiencing is their perception of the situation. And I know that I've done my best to explain the why, explain where we're going, and give them that opportunity to leave if it's not going to work for them. Right. And as a stylist, I would say the same thing. Be open to change, and know that your goals today might change tomorrow, and someone else's path and your path might not always line up. But just, always be grateful for those who help you along the way, and always just try to outbeat yourself from the previous year, the previous month. Right. Yeah. I think if you can accept those two things in both positions, you'll just have a lot less stress in your life.
Absolutely. Like, a lot more peace. Like, I remember being in that season as an owner, like, paralyzed to like move in a direction. I knew the decisions that I needed to make. I knew the shifts that needed to happen and the changes that needed to happen. But I was just like, oh man, like, it's going to be disruptive. Right. And I don't want to be disruptive for the people, but if God's put it on my heart to do something, like, I have to do it, because otherwise I just can't sleep at night, and I remember being concerned, and like one day I was in a devotional, and I heard God say to me, give my children back to me. They are my responsibility, and this is part of their path. I put this on you because this is part of your path, but it's also part of theirs as well, And I just remember feeling so free. I was like, okay, cool. So the responsibility doesn't all fall on me. Like, I just have to be responsible for doing the things that I know I need to do. Right. Yeah. And I see a lot of like owners and stuff struggle with like moving forward with the things that they know that they need to do. So I would wish the same thing, and hope that whoever's listening to this, like, if there's just something that's on your heart and maybe you've been conflicted because of how it might impact, like, I invite you to look at the other side of that and the other lens, like what like impact it could be positive for everybody. Right. Mm-hmm. So I love that so much. Well, this was such an amazing podcast episode. I knew it was going to be. And so I'm excited to get this out there. If any of our listeners want to follow you and how you're leading inside of your salon, where can they find you?
So Instagram is great. Abigail.L-Society. And then, yeah, I'm actually this upcoming year, I'm going to be doing some training and some like one-on-one stuff with stylists who need help. Maybe they do work by themselves and they don't have someone like that in their role. They don't have a salon near them where they feel like they have that, I'm wanting to branch out and do what I do with my girls to others as well. But yeah, Abigail.L-Society on Instagram. You can find everything there.
And then if they want to find out more information about that, would they message you on Instagram, like to inquire?
Yeah. Message me on Instagram and I'll send you. I've got all the links. So just kind of figure out like what you're struggling with, what you need help with. Regardless of like what stage you're at in your career. Because I think, between like what Ashley's doing and like what I offer, like I just think that there's so many of us who are struggling with the same fears, the same hurdles. They don't have anyone to talk to about it. So they think they're all alone.
Right.
And they're not. So I'm so glad that you have Heal the Industry, because I think you're making a huge dent into like all these struggles that we've been having. And I hope that more and more listen and take it in and start implementing the things that you're sharing.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. I adore you. Well, okay. And then if you want to follow us for Heal the Industry, go ahead on Instagram. We're heal_the_industry on Instagram. And if you have a message that you feel called to share with the industry, some discovery you've walked through or testimony or desire that you wish to see alongside in the industry, feel free to reach out to me there and apply to be a guest on the podcast as well. So thank you so much, Abigail. I have a feeling this isn't our last podcast. So.
No, I hope not. This is so fun. I can keep going. I wish I didn't have a client coming in.
I know. We'll for sure connect and do this again here soon. But
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Okay.